The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good day, everybody, and welcome to the session 4 of the IFMA's World FM Day series of webinars. We're covering today a special presentation from India, and it's called FM Now and What Next?
Record.
So throughout the webinar, we will have a number of polls. We have 4 polls that we will invite you to partake in. We will leave question and answers until the end of the presentation. And then when you log off, a quick survey will be sent through to you. So we invite you to complete the survey as well. The FM Consultants Council is quite a dynamic enterprise. And as you can see, we have quite a good vision and mission. This slide shows you the number of ways that we can help organizations and our fellow consultants in terms of work we do through IFMA. We're very grateful for our sponsors. We have quite a prestigious number of sponsors, as you can see. And as you know, today's World FM Day, our theme today is empowering people for a productive world. And most of our presentations, if not all of them, have that focus in mind. Just a very quick set of slides showing our council for World FM Day. Andrej, David, Tina, Joshua, and Marcus have been very busy getting things organized. And this slide shows you the global perspective of our webinar series on World FM Day. It's very impressive. And we have quite a number of speakers and moderators, and that's me there. I'm moderating today's presentation. And we're very lucky to have Shamsher, Sindhu, and Rajessh Deb from India, who's going to be providing a number of presentations today. So just before I hand over to Shamsher, Shamsher's got quite a impressive CV, as you can read here. Quite a number of varied skills, and he's traveled around the world, so he's got a lot of wealth of experience in what he's going to be presenting to us today. And likewise with Rajesh, a different sort of background, but very skilled individual, and I'm looking forward to listening to both of their presentations. So without further ado, I'd like to just give Shamsher control of the presentation and invite Shamsher for you to continue with your presentation, Shamsher.
Thank you so much, Graham. It was a lovely introduction. Good morning, everybody. Welcome on board, Rajesh. I'm going to start with my presentation. Just a brief what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk in 2 phases. Phase 1 will be, and we're going to discuss now, and phase 2 we're going to discuss what next. In now, we will cover the current state of the industry, the FM organizations, and the service providers. How have they evolved over a period of time? How are we adapting to the changes, and how are we transforming? What can we do to be successful in our roles, and the use of dashboards and other tools to help us become more successful. In the part 2, Rajesh will be covering what next is and where the FM is heading globally, the big picture, and then in the India perspective. We will touch upon sustainability, Internet of Things, and what is relevant and trending. Specific to India, the cleanliness drive and the Swachh Bharat along with the smart cities. So that will be Rajesh's part. So we'll start with phase 1, that is FM Now. It will take a fraction of a second extra when I'm changing the slides. So this is I just briefed. I move to the next one. In my presentation, this is the flow of things. We'll touch upon the state of the industry, then actively changing ways of FM, the service provider, transformation of the service provider's role, 3 areas that FM executives should focus on, what we can do to be successful, and why the dashboards, and the last would be evaluation of performance measures. Now, the global influences are changing the landscape of the facilities management across the world, and India has not remained untouched with that. The FM leaders are being required to diversify their teams and become true business partners, because FM is one of the largest spenders after human resources, and organizations are realizing it. FM organizations are being restructured to operate more effectively in a complex environment. Post 2008, there has been a lot of pressure in terms of how do we reduce our cost, how do we take care of our spends. Our FM majorly has committed costs, so it's very thin line in terms of what we budgeted and how we can try and reduce those costs in those areas. Vendor partnerships are increasingly being adopted as a way of empowering FM to drive greater corporate value. We're seeing vendors evolving into strategic partners rather than just being service providers. The workplace is seen as an opportunity to attract and retain talent. It is just not talking about providing a space, but it's talking about the complete environment as a package to drive both improve productivity and sustainability. Moving to the next slide. The state of industry in terms of how it's working around. The global economic environment remains uncertain. Whenever we're thinking that, yeah, it's stabilizing now, one or the other internationally unsettles the whole thing. The latest example being the Brexit. I know we're still trying to calculate and evaluate how they're going to impact it, but a lot of keen eyes are watching the development across the world that way. Indian real estate market looking for a big boost due to REITs and RERA, just for the elaboration purpose. RERA is the Real Estate Regulation Act, which has recently been passed in the Indian Parliament, which is being seen as a big boost to the Indian realty sector. It's going to provide a lot of controls, and the end user is going to get benefited. The overall accountability of the developers is going to increase, and because of the accountability and the cleanliness in the system, the expected FDI investment is likely to be a big one. Just to give an idea, it's expected to be something around $650 billion over a period of 5 to 7 years. That's the kind of investment which is expected in India. Current debt for the developers is somewhere around $350 billion. So you can imagine the slow pace at which the developers are delivering the projects today is going to take a big boost. And REITs is going to help that in terms of encashing the development and how we can see the future of trading in terms of real estate going to happen. And whenever there's a development which is happening in the real estate, FM has a larger role to play. Irrespective whether it is a residential, is it a commercial, it's industrial, FM is there. And we have to gear up for that growth in India. FM needs to play the role of both a value protector and a value creator. I think that's a very important thing which we need to start looking at. Instead of just being the managers of the assets which are with us, we need to start seeing how we can add value. How do we protect the assets which are there with us? How do we see to it as a total cost of operations, total life cycle cost, rather than just day-to-day mundane management of the assets or cleanliness and housekeeping. Impact of increase in labor cost, that is going to be a big challenge, specifically with India, because the West has already come up the curve. They have realized how the labor cost has increased, and mechanization has helped a lot. But in specific Indian market, the labor cost is increasing day by day. When you talk about housekeeping, you talk about security, the minimum wage revisions, the way things are being passed on, the bonus act and all, it is going to impact definitely the cost, and there will be pressures to try and see how we can bring in more automation, how can we mechanize our functions, how can we bring in more CCTVs, more remote monitoring in terms of security, how can we bring in more machines to do the cleaning and other things. It's a good thing to do, but what is the challenge along with that is the skills. Is our manpower geared up for the skills? So the regular skill upgrade is important. Smartphones are there with everybody, but are we using them for geofencing? Are we using them for communicating the official part of it, we need to gear up our third level or fourth level of employee base. Increasing focus on sustainability with the mandate which are provided to the company, up to 2% of the net profit has to be spent on corporate social responsibility. So that's how things are evolving. Maybe 5 years back, having a green building certification used to be something of a big achievement, and people were wary of it because it used to cost 15 to 20% extra in terms of the project cost. But you see today, I think it's become a norm. Having a green certified building with the new developers, whether it started to attract the customers or whether you talk about the total operation cost and impact because the building is green, has really encouraged it. And having a building green certified has become a norm today. More on sustainability will be covered by Rajesh in the coming phase 2 presentation. Technological innovation will enable an integration of data streams from different parts of the organization. More focus will start coming towards cross-functional dashboards. It's just not what FM is doing it, but if you start seeing, if you were to do a space forecast, how is it linked with HR database? How is it linked with finance database from the budget point of view? So this is just an example, but as we progress, the silos between HR, IT, FM, finance, from data sharing perspective has to start blurring, and we need to start working more closer to each other to share the real-time decision-making data. I'll move to the next slide. The actively changing ways of facilities management. There's a lot of focus in terms of how we're working today, from there to mobility, and mobility to just being present in physical or virtual. It's expected that by 2020, work and workplace will expand beyond a focus on mobility to include the concept of presence, whether it is physical presence or virtual presence. With the bandwidth increasing, with the connectivity being available across the country, we're seeing a lot of virtual meetings happening, a lot of video conferences happening, and reduction of physical space in terms of the jobs which have the possibility of flexibility. Office physical presence will become significantly more abbreviated, and office activities will become more intense and highly specific. How can we help? What is going to aid that? Technology is going to be the biggest enabler in that. The technology, we talked about video conferences, connectivity, audio conferences. Now take an example, we're doing this webinar. It's again thanks to technology. Now other enablers due to technology will be the databases, sharing of dashboards, mobile applications, social networking, because the forecast is that it's just not going to be official interaction, but it's going to be a combination of official versus social interactions. Moving to the next slide. In this entire evolution, there's a major role which has been played by the service providers. And if you see from the 50s to the 2015 and 2016s, there's been a great level of evolution in terms of vendors. Earlier, the service provider just to be a vendor who used to do menial jobs, what they were asked to. Cleaner will come and do a housekeeping, cleaning job. Security will do the security job. It evolved over a period of time. It started with part outsourcing, giving more strategic roles. But see, in the coming slide, we'll cover how it's going to get covered, how is it evolving completely. It has moved from a preferred service provider role to a supplier to a strategic partner. So it used to be just a service provider, do a menial job, then it became a supplier who used to control major supplies, and then it became a strategic partner with us. It will be deliberating upon in the coming slides. If you see, in terms of how you see the two pyramids on your screen, it talks about in the 1990s, the darker portion on the base which talks about implementation, that used to be the main responsibility of the service provider. And the changing needs and the expectations from the customers and the clients has really evolved. So if you see how we are in the 2015 and 2016, implementation is a given thing. They play a major role in processes. Strategical partners they become, if you see major organizations have outsourced the complete FM and CRE function to a strategic partner, whether it is JLL, CBRE, Knight Frank. There are multiple service providers who are handling this kind of a thing. So earlier, if you see in 1990s, the internal client relationship and the strategy and process formation used to be in-house with the FM or the FM function. Now if you see, it is more or less talking about internal client relationship, but other things are in relationship with the service providers. Depending on the maturity of the organization, some organization may be as per this pyramid, some may be still between process and strategy, some may be halfway to the strategy, they may be using service provider to provide the strategy, but presentation and execution strategy is still in-house. So there are various forms of working around on those. Move to the next slide. We'll take a quick poll here in terms of Graham. I would need your help in recording the poll here.
Sure, let me just launch the poll for you.
Okay. Just wanted to understand and take your feedback in your organization. The vendor partnership maturity is at level 1, which is that only at implementation level, that is a nascent stage. Level 2, which talks about drives, processes, formation, and implementation of that, which is a mid level of maturity. And 3, strategic level of partnership and high level of participation, which defines a high level of maturity. So I request you to click on one of these. It will help in terms of seeing how we are, as an industry, how we're moving forward.
I'll just give everybody a couple more seconds and then I'll close the poll. Okay, you may not be able to see this at all, Shamsher, but the results show that answers 2 and 3 are 50% each, with 0% on answer number 1.
I think that's a good poll, Graham, in terms of talking about at least we have moved away from the total implementation level to the move to the mid-size to the high level of maturity. That's a nice one. Thank you so much for giving the controls back. We'll move to the next slide. As we are growing and our roles are evolving, what are the 3 areas? There may be various ways and steps, so I'm not going to deliberate too much in details, but 3 basic things which we would focus on. There was a poll which was conducted by JLL in Asia Pacific region, and these 3 points are based on the outcome of that survey, which talks about the top 3 areas that we as FM executives should focus on. The first one being acquire basic accounting knowledge. Because see, what's happening is, since I just touched upon it earlier, we are the 2nd largest spender for an organization. So finance, numbers, accounting plays a very important role. We need to start understanding the impacts of the decision we make, the impacts of things we buy or the things which we take on board, the way we try and operate and manage our facilities. So understanding the financial impact and articulating them to the senior management is going to be the biggest challenge. We need to start talking about the language what a CFO or a finance department talks about. We need to understand their language. We need to start talking the same language. Second observation was consider centralization. More than half of the respondents that they think that centralizing the P&L will be the biggest challenge of the centralization trend. with the spread of an organization, and whether it is a retail, it is a small footprint with larger office, geographical spreads, it is important that we have our MISs, our budget controls centrally. We may still delegate and empower our regional teams to continue the work, but somewhere a centralized MIS is important to understand what are we spending in respective geographies, trying to compare that and see to it whether we are getting the best for the buck we are spending on. Point number 3 which came up was manage the portfolio strategically. The biggest challenge of strategic portfolio management trend, according to respondent, will be the ability to anticipate future business need, because that's the biggest challenge we see. In one of our discussions and one of the Kotak platforms, we're discussing about what is the holy grail for a FM or a CRE. The holy grail for us is to get the accurate forecast of what is my space need going to be in 6 months to a year's time. We have really moved ahead in life on that, but still far away from the accurate projection or forecasting what is going to be required. So that's still going to remain a challenge. And to mitigate that, we need to really understand what's the true cost of the flexibility we try and bring in the work environment we're creating. So these are 3 things which we as FM leaders need to start focusing on. I'll move to the next slide. Now, previous slide was talking about the focus which we need to look at. This one we're going to briefly touch upon what do we need to be successful as FM leaders. The most important point here is it's important for us to understand the business. The organization which we work for, the organization which we provide the entire base and FM services, understanding of the business is important, because once we understand the business, then we can align the trajectory. What does that mean is something, giving an example. When a baseball player or a cricket player the batsman hits the ball takes a direction. So the player who is going to catch the ball needs to align how the ball is going to flow in the air, what is the trajectory, and where it's going to come and match. So that perfect aligning of the trajectory of an FM with an organization is very important. Maintaining the relationship, we have to move from just a service provider to a customer relationship management concept. We need to establish a relationship, understand the financial strategy of the business, and see what are the pressure points. Are they growing? Are they consolidating? Are they containing or restraining in their growth? They need to be understood very well. 2, be flexible. Work closely with HR, IT, legal, and other silos to see to it that they do not stay as silos, but they contribute to our database creation. Work towards the aligned integrated model. Forecast and plan the space needs. We talked about it. 3 is act fast. With the changing dynamics globally, I think whatever decisions are taken, they need to be implemented real quick. Flawless execution, process improvement, core and non-core outsourcing. A clear understanding of that and implementation is important. Last one, and that is control the dynamics and do the firefighting. Basically, control the chaos. Planning and monitoring, best practices and continuous improvement, technology interventions and accurate data, get the dashboards. Dashboards we're going to cover in the coming slides, but it's important to have the MIS, important to have that. So these are the 4 quadrants, and they keep moving in terms of order of priority depending on at what stage of this quadrant you or the organization is. Move to the next slide. Graham, I hope you are doing fine on the time.
Yes, I think you've probably got about another 4 or 5 minutes, Shamsher. That's fine.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you so much, Graham. Why dashboards? Why are dashboards important? FM as a scientific discipline is still in the development stages. Although the number of academic contributions have increased in past time, the conferences are there, they're growing, but the database and our own FM repository or library is still evolving. In terms of what do we include in the dashboards, we just cover on that the basic metrics, the KPIs, and the SLAs with the vendor, and I would suggest also the SLAs with our internal customers. Better monitoring of what we're doing, how we're doing it, enable better, smarter, faster decision. If we have good dashboards, what do we cover? Normally should be covering dashboards. If an overall FM as a function, I think we should be covering about the commercial building management. That's what we do normally. Floor space management in terms of how is the capacity being created and utilized on the floor. Construction, build management in case the construction is happening, or if there are any addition or changes happening or refurbishments happening. Technical build, that means all our repair and maintenance, our day-to-day technical usage needs to be looked at, power consumption, repair and maintenance cost on in terms of how much we're spending on upkeep and maintenance, technical point of view. Cleaning and care management, which broadly covers the housekeeping, the facade cleaning, the carpet shampooing, what the frequency of doing it, what the cost we're spending on it. Security and safety management, transport management and logistics, cafeteria and food management, and other administrative service management. So these are the broad heads which are there for which we should have the dashboards or the metrics for us to get the data which can help us take smarter, better, and faster decisions. It helps us to get everybody on the same page. The expectations are very clear. Once you share an MIS, which is on a frequency of a month or a quarter, that goes to the finance, that goes to the leadership, it's very clear what we are looking at and how we're looking at. Create a buy-in on what success is going to look like. We may be delivering at the best of our abilities, but is the organization understanding that, recognizing that, or are we meeting the organization goals? So we should be defining that, okay, these are my targets, and how I'm going to achieve them and what milestones. The moment we meet that, it's a success for us. So it's important for us to agree that how the success is going to look like and work around that. Track the progress and regularly show the improvement which is happening. So how do we do that? The first step is to build an expert team which will be responsible for the evaluation. Have a team which can look around, which has experts which bring about specialists in the knowledge which the focus you're looking at, and not only from FM specific main processes, but also of the use which the building will be put to, so that the operations can support the specific needs of future users, considering the cost benefit calculations. It needs to be evaluated, it needs to be appraised on a regular basis. Go to the next slide. A quick poll, Graham, I would need your support on carrying out a poll on why dashboards. In terms of mechanisms, what we use as organizations to sharing of matrices and dashboards, are we using Excel-based metrics, or do we have advanced measurement mechanisms? Say, to give an example, for space management, we have auto report generations. Similarly, for your power consumptions, we may have still silos covered in major heads, and we are doing advanced or automated measurements of that. Or are we doing and using advanced tool and platform like integrated work management solutions like AWMS and Tririga? So request you to choose 1, 2, or 3 as an option in terms of where your organization is.
Okay, I'll just give everybody a couple more seconds to enter their votes, and then I'll close the poll. Okay, again, you won't be able to see this, but answers 2 and 3 shared 50% again, Shamsher, with nobody hitting the Excel-based metrics.
That's good. So we've moved away from Excel, yeah. So that's a good news.
And just
Okay,
just to let you know, Shamsher, we're now at the halfway mark in the presentation.
that's fine. Thank you so much, Graham. I have just two more slides, and I will be handing over to Rajesh shortly. Before we move to the final slide, we just quickly touch upon how the performance measurement has evolved over a period of time. Traditionally, the focus used to be on managing the assets which are with FM. In emerging organization, it has been more towards organization performance. And as an integrated, which is talking about when we see as integrated structure is when IT, HR, finance, and FM, they're working together. It's seen more of a cross-functional solution. The dimensions used to be, when you to measure them, used to be financial and operational as traditionally, but now it's become more multiple and balanced. Measures earlier used to be dollar per square feet or square feet per person, but from there it moved to customer satisfaction, revenue per unit of output to dollar per unit of output. Now it is an integrated one is going more towards productivity gain, how an organization will gain when we're bringing in a change. Payback on infrastructure investment. What is my ROI on what are we doing or what are we spending? So this is how things are being measured in terms of FM expenses. Okay, I'm just coming to the end of my presentation. Just to summarize, our preparation begins with the leadership. It is how well are we leading, how well our leaders are, how well our FM, next generation FM is. So think broadly, the business of a company and speak its language. Be strong and effective partner with the business unit. Be an effective partner with the business unit and other support groups like HR, legal, branding, IT, and finance. The super nucleus is evolving where all of these support functions need to start collaborating together in terms of database creation. Recruit and develop tomorrow's FM leaders. It's important. The evolution happens with stronger next line. So it's important that we have and we develop tomorrow's FM leaders. Identify opportunities by thinking beyond the functional boundaries of FM. Think out of the box. It's important thinking out of the box. Acquire the financial acumen. That's extremely important in understanding the budgets, the numbers, the financial language. Embrace the technology and Internet of Things. I'm just touching upon it, but Rajesh is just definitely going to touch much more into how technology and Internet of Things are going to change globally and India going forward. So this is end of my presentation. I would like to thank my colleagues in the industry and thank the organizers for helping us organize this. Rajesh, I'll be now handing it over to you. The next slides will be yours. So I will help you in changing the slides as and when you want it. Rajesh, you're there? Rajesh, are you on mute?
Whilst we're waiting for Rajesh, thank you, Shamsher, for that very intriguing summary of what's going on in India. Hello, Rajesh. Hello, Rajesh, are you there? Shamsher,
hold on.
Are you able?
I'm going to call him on. I'm just trying to reach out to him. I'll put my thing on a mute for a second, please.
Hello, Rajesh, are you there? Shamsher, are you able to fill in for Rajesh whilst we're waiting for him to come on the line and to do Rajesh's presentation?
Graham, he's facing some challenge. Let me see if I can patch him on this phone. Will that be okay? If you're audible, just let me know. Rajesh, can you just say something and let's see if you can be able to hear you?
Shamsher, can you please take me on that call from their call from your
would you have an idea how to take him in the conference? Or is he audible now?
Yes, but we can't hear him very well. It may be that Rajesh might want to log out and log back in. Shamsher, are you able to just cover some of the initial slides of Rajesh's presentation whilst we wait for Rajesh to rejoin?
I will try and do that. Rajesh, can you log off and log in again, please?
I'll do that again.
Sure.
But is that
And then Shamsher,
all right, so
if perhaps you can then just start Rajesh's presentation.
in the interest of time, I would move to the next slide. I may not be complete subject matter expert on this, but let me see how I can cover it, and we'll see when Rajesh joins in, he can add on to what I have covered.
All right, thank you.
Control back with me. We had briefly touched upon Rajesh bio when Graham was doing the introduction, so we'll skip this. We move to the next slide. Make in India, the big picture. I think specific to, I'm sorry, I think I've skipped a slide more. Let me come back. Hold on for a second. Yeah, Make in India, the big picture. In terms of specific to the audience from India, post the recent change in the government, there have been a lot of thrust and push on Make in India. That means making India a manufacturing hub, inviting major multinational players to come and open up the manufacturing bases in India, giving a boost to the local entrepreneurs, giving a boost to local manufacturing hubs to manufacture and export. So it is from both from the economic push point of view, from the point of view of giving employment and making a presence felt in the industry. What is happening, what we're going to cover in this is what is happening, journey from basic to the global FM perspective, what is performing outside normal, what needs attention, the values, what action has to be taken. This is talking about giving a larger and a big picture. What is in it for me when it comes to smart cities? Now, again, an initiative of the Indian government is talking about developing 100 smart cities in India. The main idea behind that is to create, instead of putting pressure only on top 8 cities and 4 major metros like Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Bangalore, create more smarter cities where people can generate businesses, can work from those locations, stay close by, so better work-life balance, cost of operations for the industry is lower, and the load from the major cities goes off. Then another one along with that is the Clean India Mission. The Clean India Mission, which is popularly called in India as Swachh Bharat. Swachh is clean, Bharat is India, so Clean India. So it is talking about and giving a boost to the gram panchayats or the basic village level community. Just hold on for a second, please.
hello?
Rajesh, have you rejoined us?
Rajesh, you there?
No, carry on, Shamsher. He's still offline, so carry on.
Okay. Now, walk in cloud with BAS versus IoT. Why it is good idea to make IT a friend. That's going to be covered in the coming slides. How to remain competitive and relevant. What is trending? What is in it for we, the Wi-Fi we, as opposed to what is in it for me, that as a way to unlock opportunities. Well, that I would rely on Rajesh to elaborate on these statements. The big business in terms of startup pie, the main idea when I was having a discussion with Rajesh earlier, the big business here is in terms of with the Clean India mission, the smart cities coming in, what can we do, and how can we encourage startups and entrepreneurship there. The key drivers to our success, the law of making customer happy. I'll move to the next slide. When slide is changing, let me try and check out with Rajesh if we can log in.
My control panel shows Rajesh is still having issues rejoining, so if you can, Shamsher, please continue.
Hey, okay, so we'll talk about this in terms of real estate and facilities managers had different questions in the past. Well, I think it's reaching out to me on the handphone. Just give me a moment. Yeah.
Just whilst Shamsher is on the line to Rajesh, just an observation whilst we're waiting. It appears that a lot of the challenges that our colleagues in India, we share them.
Rajesh, Graham, Rajesh is not able to log in and not able to hear this. So the best I can do is I'll use my current handphone, try and bring it close to the mic if you can, is audible. Can you speak a little louder, Rajesh? Try and see if we can.
Yeah, I'll do that. Is that okay?
Yep, I can hear it quite well.
Okay.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. This is a wonderful day. Thank you, Shamsher, for setting up the page for me to talk in it. I have this presentation split into 6 portions. While I have placed the question, I will tell you the top of it. First of all, I'll talk about what is happening, journeying from basic to global FM perspective.
Rajesh, I touched upon that, and we are on slide 33. If you can elaborate slide 33, that'd be really great.
Okay, that's really great.
Shamsher, if you could let Rajesh know, we really only have about another 10 minutes on his presentation, so he might want to skip through some of his slides.
Okay. Rajesh, Graham, you heard Graham?
Yeah, so what I am going to talk about, the real estate facility managers had different questions in the past. What is happening today is how do I consolidate disparate solutions into single source of truth? Will my solution be flexible enough to adapt to future requirements? How do I make my department more efficient? And how do I help my few power users while making my department heads better decision makers? How do I install the solution with my IT department infrastructure? And can I integrate with my finance and ERP systems? Who will, in turn, when something goes wrong? So what has happened, the entire change, the scenario is changed. What we used to think as the FM fraternity is being changed with these answers here. And this is what the technology has given us the solution. It is in the shape of
IWMS. It has given us a flexible web-based platform that
I think you're coming on the main presentation. Just hold on. Rajesh, are you on the main presentation? Can you speak now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which
yes.
Which slide number?
Given the solution is as IT shop, in fact, a single source of truth and work pushes reports and KPIs in totality. So what has happened? The entire situation is being the technology has taken over in such a positive way, wherein we have solutions for anything and everything. However, having said that, what are the struggles today we are facing? As a fraternity at this point in time, the basic core FM is people use the perception as all support services, catering services, cleaning, security, maintenance, art services, service management, life cycle management, and value generation. At this point in time, basic idea of taking of this further in totality is to talk of the life cycle management.
Rajesh, you'll have to guide me on which slide are you now?
I am there in the where FM struggling today.
That is slide number where is FM struggling today. Do you please when you change slide, please let me know so that I can change the slide for the
I
audience.
will do that. I'll just do that. So basically, the struggle is we have to move up from basic life cycle management to creating value generation for the client, for the people, for the management, for the employer, and the totality end to end. The next slide, please.
All right.
Yeah, this is what are the emerging issues and solutions at this point in time. The emerging issue today, as in today, is basically where we are starting as a FM fraternity is the totality. I have placed 5 zones at this point in time, which talks of sustainability, risk management, efficiency, cost control, aging, building, and HR challenges. So most of the things have been covered by my fellow friend Shamsher. However, the crux of the situation is where is the solution? The solution lies in the technology. So basic idea, the basic formula of ruling the game of facility management in totality is to link FM to corporate strategy, value-driven design, move up from life cycle management next level, which is value-driven. Your cost savings is already done, whether it creates or generates value or not is a big question, and integrate the system entirely in totality. This talks of advanced FM automation systems, building information monitoring systems, integrated workplace, and in case if it is required, it needs to have the mind shift. It needs to have the change in the leadership, the way the leadership thinks. The ability to handle increasing complexity, pace of change, work with tenants, users, change on timely basis, ability to support teams through change process. Next slide, please.
All right.
So when I'm saying this is where the FM is struggling. However,
Is where the FM is struggling. However, do not worry about it. What is the big picture? Big picture is when we look at India in totality, what is the picture which is going to drive India today? Today's FM world, entire FM market is talking of big revenue growth. So today what is happening? $19 billion from 2015 to 2020 is $19 billion market. Now there are 3 sectors, major sectors in India perspective, which is IT, ITES, BFSI that has captured 75% of total. 375 million square feet of office space in India is captured by the retail. So pan-India, there are 100 million square feet of retail footprint being in the 7 key cities. So what is happening here in India today is when we look at India, it has a bigger market. And when we look at globally, it is much more larger and bigger. It is $49.44 billion at this point in time, which is 2020 by 2020. So next slide, please.
All right, Rajesh.
Yeah. So what is happening today? When we are talking about it, how do we capture the big picture into small pieces? So when we look at it, at this point in time, what is important, whether FM is a big bomb, time bomb opportunity, the basic is the FM or entire country, entire world, do not throw litter. Keep India clean. While we are keeping India clean, where do we see the opportunity? We see the opportunity in eco-friendly opportunity. That opportunity is 1.2 billion people today, out of which 600 million people, 55% no access to the basic hygiene toilets. 72% of rural people in India respond to the nature call behind the bushes. Can you believe it? This is where 125 billion people, out of that 72% people, they're found behind the bushes when we look at the economic, the eco-friendly opportunity. So the present Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, has very, very well placed initiatives, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. But do we know that how much money is going to go into it? More than 1,34,000 crore will be spent in totality, and 62,000 crore in the solid waste only, and more than 1,96,000 crore is almost will help in construction of more than 12 crores toilets all across the country. So this is when we talk of the opportunity. When we see the problem, we have the solution as a country. There is a solution on its way. And when we see in totality the eco-friendly FM 2020, the technology is going to take over from there. Can we go to the next slide, please?
Rajesh, a quick time check. 5 more minutes.
Yeah. So what is happening? The smart cities, basically, the smart city is a big chunk of opportunity which is there at this point in time. There are two initiatives. One is this, and second is that. The smart city overall budget for India is 7,060 crore at this point in time. There are 26 globally cities which are going to go up the ladder, and more than 1.5 trillion global market 2020 is something which is being projected in reality. So basic 5 fundamental dimensions which are there for the smart city. We as a FM fraternity can focus at smart energy, smart building, smart citizen, smart technology, smart healthcare, smart mobility, and smart infrastructure, and smart governance. Next slide, please. So basic idea is
Right.
how to capture the smart pie. Are we ready for it? In totality, when we look at it, smart cities business perspective startup, there are four roles one can take it. Should you like to take the big pie of opportunity, there is a chance for you to go and grab it. One, when you see the revenue point of view, it has 1.5 trillion dollars in the market going to be in 2020. So there are four basic areas. You can be integrator, you can be network service provider, you can be product vendors, or one can be a managed service provider. So these are four basic key zones wherein you can look at watch up as a startup in totality. You can actually grab the role of a startup on these areas. Next slide, please. There are four type of models which are there, which is BOO, BOT, and BOM and OBM. Basically captures build, own, operate, build, operate, transfer. In terms of the smart cities, these are four models. Either of them you can choose it. So what are the key takeaway from smart city for the smart cities? What are the recommendations are there for the smart cities, be it in India or globally? That in order to create a smart city, we need to create a stakeholder group, encourage open collaboration, build digital infrastructure, e-service in totality. Recommendation to the private sector is evaluate your role and possible position in the smart city market, build city as a customer strategy, create a specific team and steering group, identify potential partners, business models, and consultants, develop capabilities in data analytics, cloud-based services, develop services in business models. So these are basically a few things to talk of. However, where is the future? Where are we headed? When we see the global technology organizations like IBM, Microsoft, and all best of the world, what they're talking about? They're talking about more than 7 to 8 billion people are going to get connected. But does it mean that broadband is going to get overloaded? I would say in the name of the speed and simplicity and the future growth, this is the future. This is where the future is. I am sure that most of the broadband will be happy to know that their entire global scenario is going to be taken over by the IoT, that is Internet of Big Thing. However, we as a FM fraternity, we do not need to worry about that IoT, because IoT is something, the Internet of Thing is something that is going to bring analytics. There are various type of things which we can take best use of it, which talks of descriptive analytics, which talks of prescriptive analytics, and predictive analytics. So these are basic analysis, the data, the information, and how do we analyze it? This is something which is. And when we talk of the paradigm as advanced and shifted today, how to remain competitive and relevant, what is trending? So when we're looking at it, how do we match, what do we do with the information which we receive? That's a big question mark at this point in time. Do I make a sense of all the data and optimize performance? What can I do make my system more user friendly? And how do I ensure a return on my asset? So how do infrequent casual users and top level executives at the same time? How do I reduce IT costs and risk putting this thing in this cloud? So what happens basically when you have this information, what do we do with that? That's a big question. And the basic idea is when we have this is where, when we move up, I share from where to where, the journey to reach a maturity model. So when we start, we are innocent. We were, as a FM fraternity, we are not aware of it. We were doing just, as I shown the earlier graph, we've shown the larger picture. It is from the cleaning jobs to moving up the ladder. So from being innocence, moving to awareness, to understanding, to competence and excellence. We believe in delivering excellence. So in order to deliver excellence, we need to break the ice. And how do we do it? And this is what is being projected in the maturity model. What the next is, when we talk of IoT, it makes the organizations more competitive.
So
And it
Rajesh,
makes
we are on which slide right now?
and their IoT makes organizations more competitive. So when we talk of the IoT, basically it helps improving the engagement. When we have the information, it helps to improve the engagement and accelerating innovation and improving operations. How to deliver better and user experience with better results through IoT. So basic question is which we should carry along with us is how do we better up further things when we have the information? How do we utilize this data is something which is very important. The future of FMCC fraternity is going to be this shown in this, where you see anything and everything in the FM industry is going to be connected. And when you look at energy piece, when you look at any piece in the FM, when we look at the HVAC, when we look at the energy, when we look at the entire facility management piece is being managed by the IoT. So we are connected with the world. While the mechanical, I will show you the next slide is it's something because the need of the hour. When you look at the when your space getting utilized better, increase rent revenue, reduce facility expenses overall. So IoT building can consume an immense amount of energy. Implemented buildings can provide actionable management, but connected those insights with operational applications to use them requires a different type of integrated solutions. So the point is, when we look at today's scenario versus the tomorrow, the big conflict that comes up when BaaS takes on data challenge. So building automation system of yesterday is going to shake hands with the IT. The very reason is BaaS and IoT come from two different technologies, and BaaS, it apps and support, they are the domain of the engineering profession basically, and IT is from IoT is comes from the information technology profession. So basically, one step up when we need to know more information, when we need to go proactive, when we rather than getting into a reactive mode when their sensors are being placed for proactive decision making, this is where IoT is going to function and work out. So I talked about so much of things because we did the research, and through the research we are able to find out. However, the big question is, how do we reach where we want to reach? Are we equipped to handle this big job? Are we qualified? Is knowledge, limited knowledge, is going to help you sail well in the future, 2020 or beyond? Is a big question. Today, when I look at it, or as when we look at the world today, more than 4 lakh project management professionals required, against which only 35,000 project management certified people are there available in India. When we look at RICES, it talks of it is itself India needed 1,20,000 people, CRE and FM professionals by 2020. 2020 it was requirement, but tomorrow in 2020 it is 1,52,000 people required as per our RICES. But what is it? Education is going to be key to unlock success. So the big question is, are we equipped to run, fight, and win that battle from knowledge point of view? My answer would be, in India, it's a big challenge at this point in time. However, when we look at global, where do we go from here? How to encourage civic engagement in smart cities? How to better share and use the data we are capturing and make it more accessible? How to better use big data in the humanities? So when we have these many questions with us, and when we do not know where to go, this is where the global learning comes up in the picture. And this is where the best of the institute like International Facility Management Association comes in the picture, offering certified facility managers, SFP and SMP. These are specialized domain wherein at one go you can take the edge, take the advantage. There is other institutes like RICES which talks of entirely specialization in real estate, which you can always look at it. And there are other, Connect is also one of the options which you can always look at.
10:30.
So what happens, the basic the basic when you look at what we are looking at in totality, we're looking at updating ourselves. What is the conclusion? Conclusion is there is greater opportunity for FM community, FM fraternity, not only in India but outside globally, because the entire world is enwrapped with IoT of things, buildings, smart cities, and everything is getting created, developed, or underdeveloped. More than trillions of dollars are there at stake in the name of development all across the
Rajesh, you're on which slide now?
Hello?
You're on which slide now, Rajesh?
I'm there in the last slide. So what is the basic?
Wanted to conduct.
I would like to say thank you very much, IFMA, FMCC, for fighting for the larger cause globally, which helps you to connect the information, the knowledge sharing. We appreciate that. Spreading knowledge quickly increases everyone's learning, and we know there is more than enough opportunity to go around. We thank you for your patience and time. Be a think big, do great agent until we connect again. I'm just passing this over to Shamsher. Shamsher, thank you so
Thank
very
you so
much.
Thank
Graham, all up to you.
Thank you, Shamsher and Rajesh, and congratulations both of you on recovering from the slight technical hitch in terms of not being able to hear Rajesh. Rajesh, you did a great job in catching up there. It's a shame that you had to rush through your presentation slides. Fascinating challenges that your country has, your wonderful country has, and it looks like you're well on the way to solving those. Rajesh, we do have a couple of questions. I think we can probably extend another few minutes. Did you want to do your poll, by the way? Because I can quickly do that.
I'll appreciate that if you could do that.
Okay, so there are two polls here. I'm going to put up the first one, which deals with that first question. And let me launch that first. So is it important for FM leaders to stay updated with the latest technologies? Please, everybody, if you could select one of those answers, yes and no, and we'll see how well that goes. Just a couple more seconds for everybody to vote. Okay, I'm going to close the poll. There was 100% on yes there, Rajesh, so that's good news. The next poll that you've got there is, does IFMA offer these trainings and qualifications? And if everybody could vote there. I'm pretty sure I know the answer myself, but we'll just let everybody answer that question. A couple more seconds. No surprises there, Rajesh and Shamsher, that it's 100% on the yes. IFMA does have those opportunities. Let me just go to the questions. I've got a couple of questions here that I'd like to ask. The first one, is outsourcing consultancy, is it likely to be a new trend in India?
Graham, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, is facilities management consultancy likely to be a new trend in India, do you think?
I'll answer this question and Rajesh can add if he wants to. I think it's not a question of trend. It has reached a certain level of maturity already. It started as a trend in the early 2000s and late 1990s, but now we do have a fairly mature level where outsourcing versus strategic partnership is also evolving. So moving to the strategic complete outsourcing to agency is what is moving towards the trend phase. Yes.
Excellent. I guess I have one question myself, and it goes back to the Clean India challenges that you've got. All of the additional information you gave about Internet of Things and smart buildings and so on, is that an enabler of Clean India, or do you see them separate, or what's your view on that?
Rajesh, that's your answer? Rajesh, you there? I think we lost him again. Can you ask the question again, Graham? I'd like to answer that.
Yes, I was just wondering, the huge project that you have in terms of Clean India, where do you see things like smart cities, Internet of Things, and technology, and all of the various other challenges that FM is dealing with? How do you believe that that's going to enable and help you achieve that Clean India goal?
Graham, the thing is that just hold on. I think Rajesh is back. Rajesh, you are there?
You just
Connected.
All right. You answer questions which Graham just asked.
no. In fact, if you could just repeat it, that would be great. Otherwise, you are good to go. You may go ahead with the answer.
Yes, Rajesh, I was just looking at the connection between the huge project you have underway in terms of Clean India and some of the other FM challenges that we all face: Internet of Things, smart cities, technology, sustainability. How that will influence or enable Clean India?
Today, at this point in time, the Clean India, the entire IoT, everything is connected. So when I share the picture of IoT, information, the Internet of Things is going to capture everything is connected overall to the information. For example, if I have to talk of the Clean India, when we place more than 12 crore point to get the areas clean, the dustbins are being placed. The sensors will talk of when the dustbins are, they're filled and they are required to be, what we call it, vacated, emptied, and further cleaned.
I think we may have lost Rajesh. Look, not to worry. Shamsher, are you still there?
Entire piece and the circulation, and then the waste which we gather, that also gets covered with the technology. What next? How do we minimize and optimize the energy? That's what the entire Internet of Things and the technology is going to help overall. So when we see as an opportunity, what we see as a bigger opportunity in regard to those core domains in the core areas. When we look at a solution for smart cities, there are only 4 areas wherein we can look at plugging as a opportunity. So when we want to go as a startup, however, as FM professionals in the organizations, as the back-end support we can provide to manage the IoT technology well.
Okay.
With the help of education, the latest updates, which is available with IFMA and the institute which I shared in RICS. I think this answers the question, right?
Yes, thank you, Rajesh. Look, I've put up the slide there. For those who have got some other questions for both Shamsher and Rajesh, here are their contact details. Feel free, please, for everybody to contact Shamsher and Rajesh individually. I really need to now call an end to the to today's session 4. Thank you very much again, Shamsher and Rajesh, for your fascinating presentation. It's going to be great to see how well it progresses over there in India. Just a message to everybody: please don't forget to register for the next sessions coming up. Thank you for joining us. As I say, there's going to be a brief survey at the end of this webinar, and thank you all for your patience whilst we were facing and trying to resolve some of the technology issues that we have here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today, and thank you, Shamsher and Rajesh, again.
Thank you, Graham, and thank you for the lovely audience. Thanks a ton.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Bye-bye now.